Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into a listener request today, all about boosting English shopping vocabulary. And you send us a pretty fun source, a comedy sketch about, well, buying a tank.
That's a new one. I'm intrigued. Yeah. A comedy sketch for language learning.
Yeah, this from Podcast Speak English on YouTube. I know, it sounds a little out there. But there's actually some great vocabulary in here, and kind of shows how humor can help you pick up a language.
Makes sense, actually. You know, when you laugh, your brain's releasing endorphins, makes you feel good, and it actually helps you remember things better, too.
So maybe learning about reinforced steel from a tank salesperson while you're cracking up is a good strategy after all. Let's see what this video is all about.
All right, let's dive in.
So it starts off pretty normal. You got a father and his 16-year-old daughter at a car dealership.
Yeah, classic.
The daughter, of course, is desperate for a car.
Oh, I can only imagine. Pretty common situation, right? Most teenagers are itching to get behind the wheel.
Exactly. And the video plays on that. The daughter even says, I'm like the only one at school who doesn't have a car. It's that whole teenage pressure thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Wanting to fit in, be independent. Now, that's pretty universal, I'd say. Especially in places where cars are, like, the main way to get around.
So true. Okay, so we've got the setting, but here comes the twist. The dad ends up considering a World War II tank.
Hold on. A tank?
Yeah, totally unexpected, right? But before we get to all the tank stuff, the video actually does a good job introducing some car-related vocabulary. Like, it talks about the difference between a general word like vehicle and something more specific, like sedan.
That's a good point. Vehicle is anything, bike, bus, truck. But sedan, that's a particular type of car. Important distinction for English learners to get.
Right. And then there are the words you just hear all the time in car conversations, like gas mileage.
Oh, yeah. Gas mileage is key, especially these days with everyone worried about, fuel efficiency and the environment. It's funny, even in countries that don't use miles, you still hear people talking about gas mileage. It's become like a global English term.
So even if you're not buying a car anytime soon, understanding words like that can help you follow conversations about all sorts of things.
Absolutely. Then there are words like airbags, brakes, pretty basic car stuff, but important when you're talking about, like, safety and features.
And there's reinforced, too. I like how they give examples for that beyond just cars. So you've got reinforced steel in the tank, but they also talk about how plastic can be reinforced with glass to make it stronger.
Ah, that's smart. Showing how a word can be used in different situations, that's how you really learn it, You're not just memorizing a definition, you're seeing how it works in real life.
Okay, back to the video. Things get really hilarious when the salesperson actually tries to sell the dad on this old tank instead of a normal car.
I can't even picture it.
It's so over the top, but that's what makes it funny, right? And it lets them sneak in some less common vocabulary, too, like missile attacks, which, for some reason, the daughter thinks the tank will protect her from.
Oh, come on.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you're laughing and learning at the same time.
I guess that's the point. And then,
ahead.
get this, one of the hosts mentions that they've actually driven a tank before.
I know, totally out of the blue. And then they start describing what it's like, talking about levers instead of a steering wheel, how hard the manual transmission is.
Wow. So they're bringing in personal experience now. That's really cool. And it just shows sometimes learning about something kind of random, like tanks, can lead to these unexpected connections and insights.
Exactly. You never know when these words and phrases might come in handy.
That's the beauty of language learning. You're always expanding your horizons,
Yeah.
always ready for the unexpected.
This video, it's wild, right? So funny, but you learn things, too. That's not just the vocabulary, though. We're also seeing a bit of American culture here with the whole car thing.
Oh, definitely. The whole idea of a car being like a huge milestone for teenagers, it's very American. This idea of freedom, being able to go wherever you want, whenever you want.
And it's a status symbol, too, right? Like the daughter saying she's the only one without a car, that's got to sting.
Yeah, that pressure to fit in, it's real. And the dad, he's considering buying a tank, obviously. It's a joke, but it shows how much some parents will do to make sure their kid has a car.
I guess that's one way to stand out from the crowd. But it also makes me wonder if this whole car anxiety is an American thing or if it's more universal.
Good question. Wanting independence, being able to get around easily, that's got to be universal, right? But I think how it plays out depends on the culture. Some places, public transportation is so good, a car isn't even a big deal.
That's true. And in some cultures, maybe there are different things that are seen as status symbols like education or family connections.
Exactly. So the details of this skit, yeah, they're very American, but
Yeah.
those deeper themes, social pressure, wanting to fit in, those are probably something most people can relate to, no matter where they're from.
Makes me think about what you said before about language and culture being so connected. You can't just learn the words, you got to understand what they mean in different cultures, right?
Exactly. A phrase that's totally normal in one culture could be super rude in another. Even simple things can have different meanings depending on where you are.
So for someone learning English, it's like another layer of complexity.
Huh.
But maybe watching something like this can help you start to see those differences.
Definitely. And it's not just about avoiding awkward situations, it's about appreciating how rich and diverse English is. All these different cultures shaping the language.
So we've gone from shopping vocabulary to cultural insights, all thanks to a comedy sketch about a tank. Who knew?
It shows that learning can be fun, and that you can find it in the most unexpected places.
Before we finish up this deep dive, though, I think we should give our listeners some practical tips, things they can actually use when they're shopping in English.
Yeah, for sure. The most important thing, use those new vocabulary words. Don't be shy. Try out gas mileage or reinforced in a real conversation.
Right, and don't forget those phrases from the video like I'm just browsing or sleep on it. Those are super useful in stores.
And pay attention to how these words and phrases are used in different situations. Watch more videos, listen to podcasts, read things about shopping. The more you see them in action, the better you'll understand them.
Don't limit yourself to American English either.
Yeah.
Check out how they say these things in British English, Australian English, all the different varieties. You'll learn more words and see how the language changes depending on the culture.
Remember, learning a language is a journey. It's not about reaching some finish line. The more you explore, the more you discover.
Well said. And just like with this tank video, sometimes the most unexpected detours can lead to the most interesting discoveries.
This has been fun. I wonder what other surprising insights are waiting for us out there.
It's funny, we started with this simple comedy sketch, and look at all we've covered. Vocabulary, cultural differences, even a bit of psychology with that whole laughter and memory thing.
Yeah. Shows you learning can pop up anywhere. And speaking of humor, I think it's worth coming back to that for a sec. How powerful it can be for language learners.
You mentioned before about laughter releasing endorphins, helping with memory. Could you break that down a little more? I think that's something our listener could really use.
Sure thing. So when you laugh, you get these endorphins, right? Not only do they make you feel good, but they also kind of link that good feeling to whatever you're doing at the time. So if you're learning new words while you're watching something funny, those words are more likely to stick with you.
So it's not just about making it more fun. There's actually a brain benefit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And think about it. When you're having fun, you're relaxed, you're more into it, and you're probably more willing to try things out, make mistakes, all good things when you're learning a language.
It's so true. I can think of times when I was struggling with something, then I'd see a funny video or article using the same stuff, and it just click, like it wasn't so scary anymore.
Exactly. Humor can take the pressure off, make it less intimidating. And in this video, the humor also makes some of those tough vocabulary words easier to handle, I think.
Yeah. Words like reinforced steel, missile attacks, they sound kind of intense if you're just reading them in a list. But in this goofy skit, they're less frightening, and you remember them.
The humor gives it context, that little hook to help those words stay in your head. Like a memory trick, but way more fun.
Okay, so for our listener who's working on their English, what's the big takeaway here? How can they use humor to help themselves learn?
Well, first of all, find stuff that makes you laugh. Comedies, podcasts, funny books, whatever does it for you. You'll hear real people using the language. Plus, you'll be making those good feeling connections that help you learn.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and one thing to remember is that humor is subjective,
Yeah.
right? What's funny to one person might not be funny to another.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So try different things, different comedians, different types of humor. Find what you think is funny, and learning English will be way more enjoyable.
And hey, don't be afraid to laugh at your own mistakes along the way. Everyone messes up. It's part of the process. If you can laugh about it, it takes the pressure off.
So true. Embrace the journey, have fun, and remember that laughter is a pretty awesome tool.
Love that. I think that's a perfect way to wrap things up. So to our listener out there, hope this deep dive was helpful, inspiring, and maybe even made you chuckle a bit.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep laughing.
And until next time.